Hey guys, so today's lesson is all about text evidence. We have our super Y characters here to help us find it. Um, okay, so make sure that you are still doing your 10 minutes of reading and your discussion question. We're going to be using the article from the Holocaust that we read yesterday to do this, and also looking at a text sheet that I made that is linked on the Schoology page. So here are your two sheets. First one, text evidence. We are going to use the summaries of the amendments below and explain how they pertain to the Waco siege. This should be considered evidence in your defense, aka substantiation. Okay, remember, substantiation means to prove it. So if you're making a claim, you have to prove it. So here is the proof. Now we're making the claims. We are going to, so let's see, this first one says, First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Okay. So I'm going to have to, sorry, it's small, so I had to pull it up big so I could read it, but I'm going to have to go back to type here. A lot of people think the First Amendment was violated in the Waco siege. I'm going to give you just a second to answer that in this Edpuzzle, how you think it was, just short, one sentence. How do you think it may have been violated? And then we're going to write an answer here together. So, again, this is a matter of opinion, but you're going to say, even if you don't agree with it, you can say people believe this because blah, blah, blah. However, they didn't really violate it or they did violate it. But you have to explain what it has to do with it. So this really dealt more with prohibiting the exercise of and the right of the people to peaceably assemble and freedom of speech or of the press. So the Branch Davidians at first were kind of cut off from talking to anyone but the government. And then ultimately they were able to get in touch with the radio show and they were allowed, but at first they cut off kind of all communication. Now, some of these people, there were claims that illegal things were going on there. So some people believe government was fully in their rights. They can come, and if you're doing, it's suspected that you're doing illegal things, all of your other rights don't matter because you're under investigation. Others would say, no, you always have all of your legal rights, and technically they could not cut them off from the world and isolate them. That was a violation as Americans of the First Amendment. So they also were partially on this watch list because they did not really care for government practices. Now, the main thing that got them in there was that some of the Branch Davidians had illegal weapons, yes. And they were being held at the compound. Obviously, not everyone had one. Not all of the children were not involved. So it wasn't entirely inclusive to everyone living there. So whether or not they could legally lock everyone up and punish them as if they were all being arrested, that's what the great debate is about. Okay, and I'll let you make your own decision, but you can start by saying many people believe the government violated the rights of the Branch Davidians. Let's say actually violated the First Amendment right of the Branch Davidians by not allowing them to have contact with others or the press and targeting them partially because they were a religious group. Now, that being said, they would have been, again, that's somebody's opinion, they would have been targeted anyway because of the illegal behavior that they were ensuing in the stockpiling of illegal weapons. However, some people believe it was worse because they were a religious branch. They were called a cult. They were seen as more of a threat simply because they were religious than if this would have been just a bunch of country people who had illegal weapons like most of the people in the country did at the time. And never had the world heard of a case where the ATF took anyone down in that manner for having an illegal, unregistered weapon. That being said, they had many of them, but many of the Branch Davidians felt they were targeted simply because of their beliefs and the guns, not just because of the guns. If anyone else would have had that level of guns, but didn't meet in a group to talk about religion, then they wouldn't have been targeted. Again, I'll let you, that's the first part you're going to put, and then you'll say, I believe, actually, we're not, technically, you don't, that's a thought that you have. I think blah, 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 and you'll say what you think, okay? So I want you to start the second sentence with I think. And you're going to do this with each one. So Second Amendment is the right of the people to keep and bear arms, and that shall not be infringed. Now, some people fully believe that guns should never have to be legally registered because it's our right to have them. Whether the government says yes or no, it's Americans' rights to have them. Some people believe that even people who have been arrested who have that right taken away, that is illegal according to the Constitution. Again, this is up to you. You'll see when you go get in a government class, you'll see how the judiciary branch works. And I didn't really understand until I was in the government class. It's not a matter of who's right and who's wrong. It's not a matter of this was a wrong decision. It's a matter of, is it constitutional, yes or no? So just looking at the facts, just looking at the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Is it legal to make people license their weapons? According to the Constitution, not according to the laws in place, because there are laws in place, but according to the Constitution, which is our absolute law that we go off of. Is it legal? Because when they wrote this, they didn't have to have registered weapons. Keeping your own guns was not illegal. That is up to you to decide. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. No warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, sorry guys, I really can't see, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, if their warrant was only for David Koresh, many wonder, well, they didn't actually go inside and seize anything. They just came with tanks and guns, and when whomever shot the first shot, the Branch Davidians say it was the ATF, ATF says it was Branch Davidians, that's when they kind of went in, and it started this battle. But there was no kind of search and seizure, so you could say they didn't violate this. Or you could say they definitely violated their home by shooting at it and hanging signs against it and threatening them to come out and playing loud noises when there were hundreds of people, well, over 100 people in there, and very few who were actually doing anything illegal. So that is up to you. Again, you're going to kind of explain what it has to do with it and then tell me I think, and then your opinion. All right, Fifth Amendment. No person, I've got to zoom in on this. I cannot see all that. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in the actual service in time of war or public danger. So it's kind of your decision to decipher here. Was this considered a public danger? Were the Branch Davidians considered a public danger to others around them? You ask people in the community, they'll probably tell you no, they never harmed anyone. They were very nice. But But in hindsight, looking at it that they planned to start a war and had all of these weapons, were they considered a public danger? Perhaps. Or they planned on fighting in a war anyway, not starting one. When in actual service or time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Okay, so same offense, twice put in jeopardy of their lives. There was a shootout at the beginning, there was a fire at the end, and there was 49-day siege in between. It was 51 days total. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. They did take some of their stuff. Some of their horses were shot dead, a lot of them actually, so they couldn't run away. Things like that. Some bikes were stolen, so they couldn't ride away. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Okay, so that would be more in regards to they set up camp across the street where those people are properly compensated. Now, all of these amendments were brought up when the ATF went to court because they did go to court for what they did. It was enough for the government to say, I don't think you did the right thing. Let's take it to court. And some people were fired. The group has never been sent to do anything like that again. Aside from that, nothing really happened. And then, of course, Ruby Ridge happened. That was with a different group, though, not the ATF. And then the Oklahoma City bombing. And we've never seen anything like this again where the government fully infringed like that. So I think it's safe to say they learned their lesson. Branch Davidians were never compensated for anything. The ones who went to jail as soon as they got out, that were promised to see their kids that were later declared innocent, never compensated for the jail time. So you have to say, you have to discern that on your own to say whether or not you think it was legal. But all of these were brought up in the court case. Did you break this amendment? Did you break this amendment? Did you break this one? Did you break this one? So you're going to tell me what it has to do about it and then tell me your opinion on it. Tell me your claim. And now, second part. So those are the ones we're defending at first. Second thing here, we are only going to do 3 of these, okay, because you kind of have a lot to do on that other one. So I have the first one here. Claim Jews were the main target of the Nazis. This was a claim I found in this article that we read yesterday. And now you are going to find text evidence. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing, sorry. Text evidence to substantiate that claim or to prove that claim. Jews were the main target of the Nazis. How do we know that? Because the Nazis also killed teachers. They also killed disabled people, people of color, the elderly, really anyone that rebelled against them. They killed all sorts of people. Nope, not it again. How do we know that Jews were the main target? Well, look right here. Nearly 7 out of every 10 Jews in Europe were murdered. That tells us right there that's more people than we have ever seen murdered from a particular group at a time. Okay, so you can just Control C. We know where we're getting it from, but you do have to put it in quotation marks. All right, quotation mark here, and then because it drives me nuts, I'm going to fix it to where we're all the same here. Should be 18. All right. Nearly 7 out of every 10 Jews in Europe were murdered. Okay. So now, on your next one, claim. What is our next claim going to be? Let's pick one together. The party used lots of propaganda to persuade people to support them. That's a claim. That is, you're saying that as if it were a fact. This happened. Okay. Now, I'll fix that after. Oh, now we need to find our evidence. How do we know that they used propaganda to persuade people? They held big gatherings and rallies, and loudspeakers in public places shouted Nazi messages. Ooh. Usually it'll say it right after. right? They're going to make a claim and then they substantiate their own claim. If it's a well-written article, they're always going to use text evidence. Always, 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 okay? So I want you to do this. I'll have one more claim pre-made for you down here, and you're going to find the evidence to prove it. I may try to find one that's not right there. Please remember that you're going to put your evidence in quotation marks because they are not your own words, so we don't want to plagiarize. You'll have one more claim down here, and then you'll do that. You'll submit both of these on Schoology and take the 3-question short quiz over text evidence. We can look at that real quick, make sure we covered everything on these questions. So we talked about what it means to substantiate a claim. When quoting a text or author, you must put it in. Yep, we talked about that. And which of the following words mean part of writing that follow a word or passage to help clarify its meaning? I did mention this, but I didn't specifically say what it was, so I'll just go over this one with you. When you're reading, like I said, it's usually right after, your evidence is right after your claim, but you have to use context clues to figure that out, okay? So in context, we know that this is the evidence because they said it right after this and it's evidence for that, okay? Use context. All right, good luck. Let me know if you need help.